The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present. Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas, one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. And welcome everybody to Monday morning on Positive Talk Radio. Have we got a heck of a show for you today? It is with it's pretty rare on KKNW. Now Benny would know more than I, but Benny, do you ever have singer-songwriters that are world renowned on your show, on any of the shows?
Oh, no, Kevin, you're the first.
I knew it. See?
I love it.
And they are indeed world-renowned singer-songwriters, as a matter of fact. My good friend Tommy Tikka is his name, and he is the current award winner for male vocalist for the ISSA, which is the International Singer-Songwriter Association, and he just won that award last month. Tommy, did you get it? There you go.
There you go.
Hey, thank you.
Now, did you get to go to Atlanta? Did they call you? How did that work?
No, you know what? The whole thing kind of escaped me, which I regret dearly, because I last year was on a different weekend, and I had marked it on the same weekend as it was last year, and I didn't even know that I had won. So they sent me an email, or got an email.
That's what all great musicians say too.
Right. And then I'm like, but isn't it next weekend? And I thought that maybe they'll send.
Yeah.
I would have loved to be in Atlanta. I mean, had I known beforehand, because it's a long trip, I definitely would have gone. But these things are always, I've lived in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's a long drive, but it's close enough that, I would have made that. But coming from Finland, it's I don't know. It's a 10-hour flight, at least. Yeah. So, but yeah, I regret. I'm kicking myself over the fact that I missed it, because I always participate. I always want to see the Josie Awards, whether I win or not, or the ISSA Awards. I love the buzz and I love the feel, and I so regret missing it this year. But what a consolation prize! I was over the moon. It was great. I mean, I'm still celebrating.
Now, did somebody accept the award for you?
No, they didn't. But
Did
they're mailing it. They're mailing it. Right? So, no, I'll tape an acceptance speech and then they'll post those. Yeah.
So Tom is from Finland, and this is an international show today because we have, and I'm going to try hard not to butcher his name, Lorenzo Gabman. Benny, help me.
Nope, you're on your own.
I'll say it. Gabanitsa.
Hey.
There you go. That's because you're international now. I'm from Seattle, and English is my second language.
Kevin, what are the native languages in the area? Do you speak one of those?
I don't speak any languages proficiently, quite frankly. But Lorenzo is here, and he is also a singer-songwriter of note. And the two of these guys have, as a matter of fact, he was in a Queen tribute band for a long time, and that. Go, Benny. You got your mouth open. Go ahead.
Because I mean, that's pretty impressive. I didn't know about that.
he was doing that, and he's been out on the scene for a while now. Lorenzo, how are you?
Oh, well, I'm good. I'm here surrounded by great people, so I'm happy and I'm glad to be there.
Oh, and who's there with you? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It's you, Tommy, and the other man, which I don't know the name.
I'll change my profile name there so
It's
everyone knows.
Mr. KKNW.
Oh, you man looks great also.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And of course, you know, Benny is he's a producer and he works the board, and so he's very familiar with the electronic end of it. The song that we're going to play, actually, Benny, can we have a drum roll? Is that possible?
You may.
At the end of the show today, we are going to play a brand new, yet to be released song that Tom put together actually for me and for the show, and I couldn't be more pleased that he did it. So we're going to play that at the end of the show. So you need to hang for that, because this is a world premiere of that song, and I just love it. I've played it for a bunch of folks, Tom, and everybody's like, "That's really cool."
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. I mean, it was so much fun making it for you, us talking about what you sort of wanted, and about the essence of Positive Talk Radio, and hopefully I've managed to capture at least some of that.
You have indeed. And he is, when you listen to the song, Benny, you will hear all the instrumentation, all the vocals, everything was done by him. He's really a talented fella, and he's got a bunch of albums out, but we're not here to talk about that per se. We're here to talk about the project that the two of you were both on, and it is about charity. It's about helping to eradicate, if we can, global warming. And so, Tom, tell us a bit about the song, if you wouldn't mind, or about the project.
Well, I think that, and Lorenzo will continue from here. We were all brought together by Phil Gardner, who is the owner of Minds Behind the Music label. Phil has a long history of fighting climate change, and he's for a very long time he's been very concerned about the climate and concerned about the wildlife and how climate change is destroying their natural habitat. And so Phil has put together not just a book, and he's organized also a couple of auctions where his celebrity friends have auctioned off their memorabilia. Francis Rossi of Status Quo being one of those folks. But he released an album, which the first album I don't believe Lorenzo is on either, but I am not on that, right? Lorenzo's not on it either. We're on the second album that just came out, and that's why we're here today. But there is an album that came out before the Born Free album that we're featured on, and I believe that was called One World, wasn't it, Kevin? We kind of established that, yeah. And so that's the backdrop of it. And then Phil wanted to do another album and contacted Michael Stover. I believe that Lorenzo and I both came through Michael, came in touch with Phil through Michael. And maybe, Lorenzo, you want to talk about how you ended up on the album? I sent Phil my song, and he said that, love it, it's going to be on the album. So maybe you tell us your story.
Well, I saw the project and I loved it, and so I contacted Phil and I asked if I can do something, and then all started from there. And I had a lot of songs that could fit, and I've chosen the one that I enclosed in the album, and it so started. It was so natural with with this, because we were in the same page. We were looking to do this great thing that you're involved too, everybody, and it all started there, so natural with him, and with all the musicians involved, you and Schizophrenic, and all the great artists, indie artists who's involved in this album. We have the same goal to try to solve this great problem that we have, the global warming. And sometimes you think it's not difficult, you can do so little, but if everyone do this little part, it becomes an ocean. You know, it's a platitude, but it's true. An ocean is made by drops.
Hey,
So
just like our effort. Yeah, you're right.
I, we started there, and then I proposed my song to Phil, and he said he loved it, and then we started, and so that's all. It's so simple and easy.
You know,
I'm
when you look back over the mists of time, and you go all the way back to the '60s, and you look at some of the many of the singer songwriters that have really wanted to make the world a better place, wanted to really change the way we look at things. And why do you think it is that singer songwriters take, and I think you take the leadership of trying to change the world in a better way? What is it about a singer songwriter like you guys that you donate your time, donate your talents to create something better for all of us? What is it about you guys?
What do you think, Lorenzo?
Oh, well, I think the the songwriter has a deep connection to sensitivity. So uh, he must be involved in something that gives something better, and so I think when he put his art and his soul, you're forced to think to all the things that hurt people, world, and our society. So you, this too is natural, you know, like people like George Harrison and Bob Dylan and John Baez, all those people. If you read what they think, it's not because they want to do this thing; it's because this thing flows outside themselves. This is how I write too. I found in an album of John Baez the same words that I told in an interview. You know, I don't sit down and tell I must do this because I don't like that. I see the thing, and it's like a natural answer from my spirit. I see it, I don't like it, I talk. I think all the
No,
songwriters who is involved in political and also global warming and all those things do it first because they vibe with the trouble that we have. You know, it's like an inner message from the soul. It's like a diapason. I don't know if it's correct in English, the pronunciation. You know, it, you do a note and the other vibe. It's this. We of course we have the all our beliefs, and then when this thing starts, like my song that I wrote for George Floyd, of course I did it later because I saw something that I don't like, but it started naturally first, and the notes and the lyrics and everything comes along. So you know, I think those people want a better life and a better world for everybody because they are in connection with something that we cannot even explain. And this is something that I feel too. I don't know why, deep in myself, but I do it.
well, I mean, there's a great dialogue between John Lennon and Bob Dylan in one of the books that I have, where Dylan says that a songwriter observes and reports. You know, because that's ultimately what he did. And you know, Lennon is asked about this, and he says that, yeah, but I want the money too. Right, you know. All right, which I that's him, right? But I mean, obviously we're not doing this for money, which I sort of said this as a bridge to the fact that if there is somebody out there who's listening to us right now and they want to make a contribution um, towards our fight against climate change, please download the Born Free album released by Minds Behind the Music. It's on iTunes and all the outlets. And just downloading one song will help. The proceeds will go to the Born Free Foundation that supports the fight against the climate change, global warming, and also tries to stop the natural habitat of wildlife from disappearing. So we're basically we're supporting causes that, I don't know how you feel about this, Kevin, but are probably well, if not the most important causes in the world right now, at least in top 5.
Well, you know, I don't know if you know this story, but in the United States, we've got a water problem. We're running out.
Yeah, I read about that. Yeah, it's crazy.
And up to and including the fact that, have you ever heard of a lake called, have you ever been to Vegas, heard of a lake called Lake Mead?
Yeah.
The water level has dropped so low that they're starting to find bodies in barrels from the old the mafia days, when people ended up getting thrown into Lake Mead. But it's getting so low. We have got a major problem in the Southwest United States, and if we don't fix it, then there's going to be whole parts of our country that are not going to be inhabitable anymore, and that's not acceptable. This is too good of a country, and we have the technology to fix it. That's what's so irritating about it.
Is anything being done, by the way?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, we just passed a law that is, they call it the anti-inflation law or something like that. But there's a lot of money for global change, for doing different things that we can do here to get back in line with where we should be. But it's a global problem, and this is a global show today because Tom is in Finland, and Lorenzo is in Italy. Is that right?
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And I'm in parts unknown, and Benny is in Seattle. So you know, it's a global problem that we have, and that we've got to work on. We've really got to work on fixing it. But, you know, I was looking at your bio, Lorenzo, and you wrote a song about Donald Trump. And I haven't heard the song, but what made you write that song?
Oh, well, I don't want to make anybody angry, but, you know, they told me that the song was chanting in the streets when they did some protest in New York, and so I wasn't at all happy with what I saw, you know, and nobody is perfect, but I thought that he wasn't can I say this? I thought it wasn't the right guy in that moment. I don't know if he'll ever be, but I am, you know, that moment I thought that what he was spreading was not the right thing to spread, and I didn't like what was happening with the people protesting, and all the people with I don't know what was the name in English, but you spray in the eyes of the people protesting.
Tear gas, right?
I think that's the yellow thing was.
Yeah. Well, and that's honestly, that's one of the reasons why this show exists, is because of the hate, division, and fear that we have in this country that has got to stop. And that's why I love having singer-songwriters on, because you guys talk about, you know, peace and love, and going all the way back to the Beatles, and which is what, 60 years now.
Wow. Yeah.
Isn't that hard to believe?
Incredible. Yeah, incredible. Because I was just listening to Help, which is, you know, I always felt that has great tracks. All the Beatles albums do, but yeah, I can't believe it was recorded in 1965. And you know, one of my favorite Beatles albums, A Hard Day's Night, is from 1964. So I mean,
when I was a kid, and I went to see, and Hard Day's Night came out first, then Help came out, and then a couple of years went by, and then they put them both on the same bill together. I've never heard this you never heard this in a movie theater, because Help and Hard Day's Night were playing together. And I was out by the concession stand, and the lights start going down to play A Hard Day's Night, because that was going to be first. And girls started screaming in the theater. They were they had to know the Beatles weren't actually there and couldn't hear them, but they still had that kind of an impact on people, and that's what singers, songwriters do. You guys have got a tremendous amount of impact on in the world that you have around them. What's and Tommy, you are an award-winning songwriter, singer, and you've also had number one hits, and you've done all of that. What's it like being on stage with a group of guys? And Lorenzo, I'll ask you too. What's it like to be on stage playing Queen songs and having people standing up and cheering for you guys? What is that like? What does that feel like?
Well, there's no other feeling quite like that. I think that if your music is going down well with the audience, or if your songs are doing good, the radios are playing them, and you get awards and hit records, and you've obviously touched somebody's soul and their hearts and minds, and you've made an impact with your music. I don't, I've never been in it for the money, but if I've been fortunate enough to find an audience that nods their heads to what I'm doing, and when that happens, I'm on cloud nine. I don't know about Lorenzo, but that's the reward that I get from all of that. It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I think too is when I go up on stage, I don't think. Well, of course, before when you are making the briefing, I hope it will be good. I hope I will sing good, But when you go out there, it's not a matter of money. It's not a matter of, at least for me, it's just that I want the people to feel what I have inside. And when I see that they are moved by what I am singing, and that I am building a connection, a bridge through me and them, that's the most important thing for me. Is something that I can resume in the words of a great artist, which is Edith Piaf. And she didn't speak English, but she came at Olympia, and she came in USA, and she said, I want them to cry even if they don't understand a single word of what I'm singing. This is what I want too. This is why I don't stand at the mic and I don't make the rocker who jump only. I try to distribute feelings when I'm singing. And when I see that the people get it, that for me is paradise. As I always say, I'm there because they are there. If I have not an audience, I wouldn't be there. So for me, they are family. I would like to raise my hand and touch everybody out there. Really, when I feel this thing, this is the top for me. This is the best. This is why I'm there.
Now, gentlemen, you both contributed to this latest album, which, Tommy, the name of the album again is?
Born Free.
Born Free, and it's the second one. And Lorenzo's got a song on that. And the name of that song, Lorenzo, is?
Is True Love Wins That All. It's a song that will speak about love in the opposite to what happened to George Floyd. So it's really when Jeff Christie heard the song, he say, hey, but this is a protest song from the 60s. No, I wrote it right now. Because she has all the kind of arrangements and all the things that they did in the 60s, the way I did it also. I tell a story. This is a song, if you hear it, you can feel the vibe of the 60s. I'm sure about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to play it, and we're going to play it right now. But first, I got to make sure, because Benny didn't have a chance to preview it. There aren't any words that we're not allowed to say on the radio, are there?
No.
No, we're good. We're good that way.
No, I would have noticed it. I've listened to it a lot. I actually Lorenzo and I were testing Zoom before we came into this Zoom because he was concerned about joining Zoom. And I said, it's weird. Sometimes you hear songs that you wish you had written yourself. Of course, I'm very envious. It's a great track. I love the gospel feel. I love the Bob Dylanish feel. There isn't anything about this song that I do not like. I love all of it. So, just wanting to say this before you guys play it. Whoever is listening will get some ear candy. And be sure to enjoy it in full.
Absolutely. And Lorenzo, the name of the song again is
True Love Wins That All.
very cool. Benny, is it all queued up? And here we go.
He was 46 years old on May 25th. He was sitting in his car, talking with his friends. Then the cops came fully armed, saying, "Step out of the car." George said, "Hey man, there's no need for that. Put down the gun." Lots of people came around, and they didn't like what they saw. Just another armless man falling off the street. Does love win that all? Does love win that all? True love wins that all. I said true love wins that all. Second for the cops to drag him out of the car. Then cop team pushed him around, sat him on the ground. Soon the man was dragged again while two other cops came in. Now George Floyd fell down on the ground and he said, "I can't breathe." "What the hell, you're killing him?" A woman shouting out loud. "What is wrong with your heart?" The cop yelled True love wins that all. I said true love wins that all. You got a man under your knee. He called for his mama and he cannot breathe. I can't get over that his life. For you it wasn't worth a $20 True love True love wins that on. True love wins that on. I said, love win that on. True love wins that on. I said, true love wins that on.
And that is Lorenzo. Can't pronounce his last name. So, Gabaninza. Gabaninza.
Yeah, I think to pizza, and then it's perfect. Yeah.
It's that first syllable I have trouble with. I can say pizza, but Gabaninza.
Lorenzo pizza. It's me.
Exactly. That is a great song, and thank you for donating that. I want to underline that, donating that for the album, because it Tom and I were talking about production costs and what it takes to put a song like that together, and so it's not like when you give a song away, you're not giving a song away. You are eating the amount of money it takes to produce that song, and so it costs you money to do that as well. So thank you for that donation.
Yeah, it's no small potatoes, as we know. Studio time is expensive, mixing, mastering, everything. We don't want to get into that because we don't talk about money, but it's a whole lot.
Well,
I know. Yeah, it's right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a great song, and it's a great contributor to the album. Again, Tom, the name of the album is
Born Free,
and you can get that on Spotify and iTunes, and please don't stream it, download it. And if you're not familiar with what the difference is that if you just stream it and play it, then the artist doesn't get the money that is rightfully theirs. So make sure that you download it, and it costs you like $1.25. It's not a big deal. So, but they get and in this case, the charity gets a much larger percentage of. Now, Tom? Who's the charity that they're working with? It's a charity out of the UK, I believe.
Yeah, it's called Born Free Foundation.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like Reds. Yeah, we stole their name for the album. It's a foundation that not only supports the preservation of wildlife in Africa and tries to protect the animals' natural habitat, but also obviously fights global warming and climate change. Due to the fact that these are big contributing factors to the fact that the animal's natural habitat is disappearing.
Everything.
Also the rainforests. Obviously, we spoke about this. We've talked about this with you, Kevin. People are chopping down rainforests to farmland and basically destroying, quite frankly, the lungs of the earth, right?
Yeah, they are, and because they, it's a hard thing because they want to make a living and they want to take but if 1 million people take an acre and burn it down, that's 1 million acres, and that's happening all over the world, and without trees there ain't no us. So it really is. And what I like about the foundation and what the work that you guys are all doing is you understand that everything's connected. You can't lose the number of animals that we're losing that are going extinct and have everything be okay. Everything's all connected. Nature is interconnected that way, and we're connected to all of it. We can't live without it. So I'm just eternally grateful that you guys are doing it, and you chose this show to come on, Tom, and talk about it. I really appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us on the show. And Lorenzo is actually rather close to the. We spoke about the Alps and the European glaciers. You're much closer to the glaciers than I am. And of course, one of the top news this summer is the fact that glaciers are disappearing from Europe. If you went to check them out 20 years ago, you'd be wearing your winter clothes, woolly hats, woolen sweaters, and basically be in full winter gear. But now when you go there in your shorts and t-shirts. And there's only, I don't remember the we've lost 80% of them, if I remember correctly. But anyway, a huge amount. And the problem obviously is that once the glaciers run out, we're going to run out of water as well over here. And a lot of the lakes depend, a lot of people depend on that water for a living. And so it's not just the fact that the planet is dying and that there's going to be this sort of final fiendish big bang that takes all of us with it, but it's the fact that, like T.S. Eliot said, that we're not going out with a bang but a whimper. And I think unfortunately he was right. This is gradual. We're entering a period of consequences, and hopefully we wake up before we enter a period of no turning back.
Well said, sir, and we all have to do it together.
Absolutely.
We can't.
I would say, Kevin,
Yes, sir.
just say that people has not to think that to change things, they have to do great things. It's enough to change your behavior with nature. Stupid things, I may say, like when you shave, you don't let the water open. This seems a stupid thing, but it is not, because you have to look at the bigger picture. If everybody do this is a great thing. It's not a stupid thing. All such things, I started too when I see I don't know the name in English, where the water comes out from this thing.
The tap, faucet, right?
Yeah. When you see the water come down, I always close it. Little thing. Also plastic, you see it, you put it in the right place. It's not so difficult. If everybody do his part, this world will be saved. It's just this, just a drop for each man and each woman. That's all. Really, we can make a big step this way.
But isn't that one of the problems with people, that we don't see far into the future? We just see what's in front of us right now.
Yeah. They don't see the bigger future. They see right now.
I have a friend who's got a son who lives in Eastern Washington. Now, if you're not familiar with Eastern Washington, it's very much warmer and drier over there than it is in Western Washington. And he loves to have a green lawn. So he waters his lawn every day so that he can have a green lawn. Well, that's rather silly when you think about how much water that takes to do that, especially over there, whereas if he were to just let it be and let it do what nature would do with it anyway, and let it go brown, then it would save a ton of water that way. And we all do simple things like that. If we changed, and you're right, if we changed a little bit, we could change the world. And that's what I really, well, Tom's a father. Lorenzo, do you have any kids?
Yeah, one.
Yeah, well, and I'm a grandfather now, and she's 4, and I want her to be able to live a happy life when she's 60. And at this point in time, that's 50 years from now, and unless we make a change, that's not going to happen. It's going to be very difficult for kids growing up today. So, and we did it to them in the last 100 years, and so it's up to us to fix it. That's my soapbox for today. But I just want to say, Tom, I've known you now for a little while, and it's just a pleasure to know you. You're an extraordinary human being, and you really are trying to make a difference, both musically and also the things that you do just in everyday life.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Feelings mutual, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Coming from a singer-songwriter award winner, are you kidding me? That is way cool. So, Lorenzo, are you touring now? What are you doing in the business? And now that COVID has kind of settled down a bit.
Well, I just stopped to play live because I'm focusing in my work with Jeff Christie, and I am very much a recording artist right now. I am busy with my new album and all the songs that I have to record and to, like you say about Tommy, I do mostly all the background vocals, so it's a lot of work to do. Um, so at the moment, just wait for my new album. And, I'm working a lot to this album, and I will get terrific musicians like I will say Scarlett Rivera too, the fiddle, which is the fiddler that you can hear in Hurricane from Bob Dylan. All those musicians. It's not easy to work with, to work and is at this level, to be at this level like they are, because it requires a lot of work and a lot of focus. So I just make a gig here, a gig there. It's not a tour, but I do many concerts, of course, but it's not a tour because I have to free myself for the studio recording. That's it.
Well, putting together a band and touring with the band is also very expensive, and it's hard to get a real good group of guys together and then get the dates and traveling and all that kind of stuff. Tom, how about you? Are you going to go back on the road?
I've done my share of touring. I'm not going to say never. The road is a dangerous place. I'm kind of glad that I'm not touring anymore. It seems to bring out the worst in me, if you will. But it's really, to be honest with you, there are great moments and moments that I miss, and I think that, like Lorenzo said, I'm doing concerts here and there. I'm not really going on a tour is a big deal. That's when Lorenzo would hop on a bus in Italy and he'd be playing in Switzerland tomorrow and then in Germany, and you're going to be on the road for a couple of weeks and maybe even longer before you get back home. And as fathers and family guys at this stage in our lives, I make it sound like we're 85. We're not. But even in your late 40s, I think it's it's one of those things that you think back on fondly, but perhaps don't want to go back full blown anyway.
What's it like being on a bus with a bunch of guys for 2 weeks in a row and then playing with unloading stuff and then setting it up and then playing and then loading it all back up and then traveling 8 hours in a bus? You got to really like the guys that you're with, I would imagine.
Yeah, you got to love them. And for the most part, you do. But it's a lifestyle that doesn't fit everyone. And I think that I don't know if Lorenzo would agree with me. There's a time in your life that all of us who are involved in music, we want to do it. We want to experience it. We want to go from one hotel to another, eat the candy off the pillow, and do everything that you've ever imagined that you could possibly do in a hotel room. But then, later on, it's a bit of a different story, isn't it, Lorenzo?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Also about the loving the people, which if you are lucky, you love them, but you are a professional. Maybe you don't love them, but you are together. You have to face, because sometimes you got the guys that maybe I don't know, you don't love them, but maybe you don't check.
Yeah, you're on your best behavior. You're making the most of it. And I think that when you put five people together,
I do it. You have to play with them. You have to live with them. It's like when you work in a factory. It's the same thing. You cannot possibly love all your coworkers, but you have to work with them. So when you are
get along,
a professional one, you have to live with them too, even if you don't love them so much.
Well, it's a little bit like, Kevin, for anybody out there listening who's married, you know, you got to get along with your spouse at the end of the day. You know, you can fight every once in a while, but fighting about every small thing is just going to make being together impossible. And I think even though you can't really compare the intimacy between a couple and a rock band, the basic principle is the same. When you get up on that stage, you need to get along. If you don't get along, it's not going to work.
It's not going to be coherent, and now there are different levels of skills as well. Do you ever run into problems with that where a guy just doesn't cut it and isn't able to make the sound that you need him to make?
I mean, when you play with other musicians, everybody's going to have an off day, and I think it's Lorenzo and I have been at this for a long time. I think now he's, you know, we're both working with top-notch musicians, and I think we don't have that problem anymore. But I remember starting out, when you go through your first bands, there's going to be the guy who just isn't going to make it, you know, in the sense that not everybody's is, you know, you're 16, you put together a rock band, there's bound to be one or two very talented people, and the rest are going to just disappear along the way. And I don't know, new guys are going to come in. And then.
Well, I can say ego is sometimes a problem. Like, ego is something that happens even in a greater band. But when you are young, everybody wants to show off. I can make the example. When I was singing Queen, and there was the bass player who always wanted to sing the songs, but I say, hey, man, I am the yellow one. You're not you. You know? With the yellow jacket, I say, I'm Freddie. I am doing Freddie. You know, I think to get a perfect concert, everybody has to be in his place. The bass has to play bass. The singer has to play singer. We have roles, especially when you are a tribute band. You cannot see John Deacon singing song Freddie Mercury sings. You know, I mean,
yeah, you need that revolving stage, everybody in the limelight, one after another. Yeah,
going back to the drums and playing the gong. What is this? You know, sometimes it's not easy when you're young, but now the strange thing is that the most you go up and the less you get those kind of problems. You know, when I played with Jeff and Paul Fenton, which is the T-Rex drummer, and all those kind of musicians, everybody knew what they had to do and when they have to stay. And me too. I didn't go there, you know. And
my dad used to say, by the way, Lorenzo, going back to the fact that when you're young, it's difficult. He said that when my mom and dad were kind of in their 70s already, but he said that it's actually very easy nowadays because mom and I forget what we were mad at each other about.
It happens.
That's one of the benefits of getting a little older. Is that what were we arguing about anyway? It doesn't matter. You know. So now, Tom, I want to focus in on my favorite song, which is "Fire and Ice," which you have recently redone and put back together again. And I was really impressed. And I don't understand how you do this, but you said that you sent the 21 tracks over to have it mixed professionally. And I was like, 21 tracks. How do you keep track of all of that? Is that in your head, the different parts that you play and the vocals and the back? And how did 21 tracks? That seems like a tremendous amount. Is that a lot, or is that not very many?
Well, it can be a lot, but it depends on the song. If you know, I try to do perfectly polished pop music, and for you to sing those vocals, you know, they need to be just right. You know, you can sing the blues and you have 3 tracks and you'll be able to mix them down. But if you want to be very, very, you know, rigid about, you know, kind of do a McCartney-ish vocal a bit where everything is just so, then it requires those tracks. Actually, Fire and Ice, I sang it 53 times. So the lead vocal that you hear is a composite of 53 tracks. There are syllables. I might have taken just syllables from one track. I'm crazy. You know, it's like now I'm on live radio. People are going to think, get a life. And they're right, you know.
Well, but you want it to be. You are a perfectionist, and you want it to be perfect.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, and the song, by the way, is really great. Tell us about that song, how it came to be.
Well, it was we were on our summer cottage, and with the in-laws, they were there as well, and my boys were playing pirates, and that lyric was something that I collaborated on with my friend and sometimes collaborator Antti Audio, and he had sent me the very bare bones of it, and I took the lyric, and as I was watching, it was a different sort of a story, but it was a story about a pirate. But as I was watching my kids play, I turned it into a story about a pirate where two brothers were playing pirates. And that's exactly what my kids were doing when I finished the lyrics. And then I wrote the melody to actually wrote 7 different melodies around the lyrics until I finally wrote the 8th one, which I felt did the lyrics justice. So it took me actually 7 months to get the song to a point where I actually felt that now we've got a great lyric and we've got a great melody. Of course, I'm flattering myself. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. I might be wrong. It's very biased opinion, of course, but then again, what do you expect? But yeah, that's how the song came about. And then when you asked for that if I had something that I could give for you to use as a theme song, we went through a couple of songs, and then this sort of just popped into my head that this is the style that you're probably referring to, and I sent it over to you, and you said, yeah, that's it, we've got our song.
Yep. And it worked out really good. Hey, Benny, you have returned to the studio, and could you? I think Fire and Ice is like 3 minutes 10 seconds.
You got it.
Can you let me know when that? And we'll end the show with that song. How about that?
Sounds good. You have about 2 minutes left then.
That's what I was asking for.
There you go,
Lorenzo, you better speak fast, man.
Lorenzo, I want to give you an opportunity to a whole minute to tell our audience anything that you'd like them to know.
The audio wasn't here. I didn't understood. Sorry.
Tom, I'll do that with you. You got a minute? Tell the audience anything you'd like them to know.
Make a change today. Help the world. Help the climate, and if you want to take it away from that level, make sure that you are happy. Kevin spoke about your granddaughter, and the advice that I give to my kids is that whenever you find yourself unhappy, make a change. Life will not go on forever. That's the only message that I want to send out. Be happy, help the climate, because even if you're happy and the world is gone, it's not that, it's not like you're going to have the greatest time in the world.
And Lorenzo, real quick, can you hear?
Well, yeah, right now, yes. Well, I will marry the words of Tommy. It's what I wanted to say too. So I agree with you, Tommy, and
hey,
I follow you in your words, which were well said and perfect. Just love yourself, everybody. Think first. Think first, love everyone. If you spread love, you will get love back. Do it.
We need that drum roll, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. And by the way, somebody once said, I don't know who it is, somebody once said, all you need is love. Yeah. Wait a minute, I know who that was.
Johnny and the Moondogs, yeah.
Exactly. I want to thank everybody for being here. Tommy Tikka and Lorenzo Gabans, yeah. And it's Gabanitsa. Thank you so much. And this is the world premiere of the song that Tommy wrote. It's called Fire and Ice.
I bought a bird to tell me where to go, as if I didn't know the road was new. A winding path, the map showed a photograph of where the X was marked, stood a marabou. We fought fire and ice. Odysseys of different sorts would we fought fire and ice. A crew was just my fire and ice. Our bunk beds had a precious view, a skeleton or two would fake us out. All we dreamed of gold, stones of emerald green, a treasure unforeseen. Let ho shout, we fought fire